Hello and welcome to this edition of Woman to Woman. I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, your professional mentor and speaker. It is indeed a blessing to be here with you, as today we're continuing on our financial education as a part of season 3. So again, this is whole season 3. It's going to be dedicated just for financial education so that we can get the education and the literacy that can help impact our financial future, our financial legacies for not only now, but years to come. So guys, I am excited about season 3 of Woman to Woman, because we know that if it was in our working hard, our ability to work hard and to go to a job and give all we have, if that's all it took, we would all be financially secure. But we know that it takes a little bit more than just working hard to really build a financial impact, not only for us to live on today, but for generations to come. So I'm just excited. I'm excited to be here with you. Today's topic, we're talking about a financial defense. Financial defense. And I thought that this may be a little more important to stop and start here for today before we go into budgeting and some of the other things, because you need this information while you're putting together your financial plan for the weeks to come. So nonetheless, guys, go ahead and grab your pencil and your paper, something that you can take notes with. Go ahead and download this episode so that you can come back and listen again. But today we want to talk about a financial defense. Why just a financial defense? Well, one thing that I found is that we can play offense pretty good. When it comes to our finances, hey, we got that offense down. We don't think about the backside of the demands that our finances and the impact of what those demands have on our livelihood. And so that's why I wanted to come and talk about financial defense today, to put on your mind that as we begin in the weeks to come to start putting a financial plan together so that we can create our own financial makeover, this is important that we begin to look at the defensive side and have some things set in place as we begin to put together our financial plan. All right. So nonetheless, financial defense, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that, you know, we get excited. We go and we make all of this money. Yet the more money we make, the more we find that we're spending. And so many of us, as a result of that, have found ourselves in mountains and mountains of debt. And it seems like no matter how much money we make, it's hard to get ahead. It's hard to get that debt paid down to a point to where we can finally breathe a little bit financially. So we find ourselves beginning to try to save a little money, try to have a little emergency fund or sinking fund over here, only to find out that there's always going to be something that sneaks in and sucks us and drains us dry financially. So we find ourselves on this roller coaster, and we always find ourselves right back to the beginning, right back to step one, right back where we started. And we think, man, is this the way it's going to be? Can we never get ahead? And when we get to that point, we get so frustrated and we just lose all the zeal. We lose all the excitement. We lose hope. We lose sight of achieving any level of financial independence or financial freedom. And so I just want to share with you that this cycle continues because we did the offense right. We had those things set in place. They tell us to create the emergency fund. They tell us that create the sinking fund and to create the savings. They tell us all of that, and it sounds good, and we can do that. We get to a point to where we can do that. But what do we do when these unexpected things begin to creep in and begin to take over our financial resources, our financial responsibilities? It impacts negatively our financial outcomes. So I want to come and share with you today some financial defenses, some things that is when you put together that budget and that financial plan, when you're getting ready to create your financial makeover and put the pieces of your plan together, how it benefits you and your family and your legacy. These are some things that I want you to consider. The defense. We're looking at defense today. And one of them is life insurance. And many of you say, yeah, I know about that. I know about that. But do you know how many single parent families that work hard every day to make the ends meet, to keep food on the table, to keep a roof over the heads of their children, the family that's taking care of an aging mother and an aging father, trying to make sure the kids behave and have everything they need, that's taking care of everybody except for herself, really? Do you realize how many of households do not have life insurance? I'm just here to say that this is part of the financial defense. We live in such a time that is so unpredictable. We can't afford to live without it. One accident, one tragic event, one unexpected occurrence changes the whole dynamics of not only our financial right now, but our financial legacy down the road. And one loss of life, one loss of life can impact us for years to come financially. So we got to put this defense in place. And the thing about it is life insurance for your young children, for you, for whoever you're having to care for, it's not as unaffordable as you may think. Because your children are young, because you may be in a fair to moderate health, because there's so many programs in place right now for aging parents, we may just have to sacrifice 1 or 2 trips to the drive-through for that month to make sure that those insurances are paid. But look at the outcome of it. Look at the benefits of it. You can sleep well at night knowing that you have a defense in place, that if death should happen to invade your family, if something happens to occur unexpectedly, that you will be protected in some way. You have some kind of defense set in place. Now, that's not to say that we're planning to die, in which I know the misconceptions that we have when it comes to life insurance, because I myself, let me just be honest, I thought that same way for years. And though I was okay financially, though I had a career, and though I had something set in place that was right, if something tragic had happened during that time, I wouldn't have been prepared. I would probably still be trying to recover now from something happening years ago as a single parent raising my kids. So I just have to be honest about it. So I know the mentality, I know the mindset wrapped around, why I want to waste money on that? Well, I'm telling you, woman to woman, this is the deep type of defense that we need to starts getting set in place. Not that we're preparing for something to happen, not that we're expecting something to happen, but just in case it does, let's take that little money once a month. Let's sacrifice a trip to the drive-thru. Let's sacrifice stopping at the convenience store. Let's sacrifice a week of getting our hair and nails done to put it toward a plan for our families. And it doesn't have to be this outlandish amount of coverage. It doesn't have to be. Hey, it doesn't take us $100,000 to live. Some of us, to be honest about it, single parent families, we're living on $30,000 or less per year. So why do we need to invest in a $100,000 policy? Sometimes a $50,000 policy will do us just fine, and it's affordable for all of us. Sometimes that $25,000 policy, that $15,000 policy, but just having something in place in the event so that we're prepared. This is what financial defense is all about. This is what it's all about. No one plans to die. No one just wants or desires to die. But truth be told, we're human in human flesh. And the only guarantees we have in this life is that as sure as we're born and that we live, we must die. We're going to die. Death is evident. We're only here for a moment. So it's time to start thinking about, am I prepared? Do I really have things set in place? So if something happens to me, if something happens to my children, if something happens to my aging parents or someone else that I'm responsible for, at least I have something set in place so that financially it doesn't exhaust me. Because let's face it, ladies, we're exhausted enough. We're exhausted enough just trying to get to a job to make ends meet from week to week, from month to month, from year to year. We're exhausted enough. We have enough pulling at us financially to have broke us years and years ago, but yet we still stand, we still get up, we still think creatively to think of how we can make another dollar just to hold things together, how we can make enough money just to keep food on the table another day. So I get it. I get it. But this is something that we should not sacrifice, not having in place for our families. This is what really shows our family love. This is what really proves to our family how much they're valued. Yeah. Do you realize how many families that have family members that have lost their lives? Let's just look at the past 12 months, have lost their lives unexpectedly. And families have went financially bankrupt just to bury their family member. Families have lost their homes just to bury their loved ones. Families have lost their livelihoods. They have been broken mentally and emotionally, physically, behind lack of proper planning. I can think back over the past 12, 18 months of the people that I've lost. And if you had told me going into 2020 that they wouldn't be here with me today, I wouldn't have never thought it. I wouldn't have never thought it. But you know what helped? Is somewhere down the line, They had a plan set in place so that I didn't have to go bankrupt, so that I didn't have to be exhausted financially and looking for years and years of hard work to recover. So I'm telling you, number one of the financial defenses that you can have in place for your family at whatever age. If you got a newborn, coverage for that newborn is necessary too. At any age. If you have a parent that's 101, it's some kind of plan or something out there, a burial or something that is out there for you. Okay, so that's one of the things to be looking for. Look into, talk to somebody. If you need help, you can reach out to me. Reach out to me. I'll be glad to help. Guide you to at least somebody that can help you. Okay. Another thing, living benefits. Living benefits is something that we've talked about on our podcast before. I believe it's on the Money and Mindset podcast with Sharika Everett and myself, where we host a Money and Mindset. We had a guest on in season 1 by the name of Faith Lane. She's with the Faith Lane Financial Group. She began to tell us about this living benefit. It's an insurance policy, something like life insurance, but the living benefits was not for those who have been left behind as a result of somebody dying, but this was for you as you were living in the event that something happened to you and you were not able to care for yourself. Someone could cash in on this policy so that the expenses of taking care of you, it would cover that, it would pay for that. And so that's something to look for when you're planning your financial plan, your financial makeover. That's a policy that you could be looking into. And you can reach out to me if you would like more information on how to reach out to Faith Lane with the Faith Lane, the Lane Financial Group. So I'll be glad to give that link or that information over to you, that referral. Okay, so that's another thing, living benefits. And this is not only something that I've have set in place for myself, but it's also something that I've had my kids set in place for themselves. It's also something that I've had my mother to have set in place for herself. Because let's face it, the impact of what we're living in today, everybody's child is not making good choices. Some of our children are into things that at any moment we may be subject to taking care of them for the rest of their lives. So it's one thing for me to put a plan in place for myself in the event that my kids or my mom or one of my family members have to take care of me if I get sick and lose some of that, my activities of daily living. But it's another when it's the children who at any time, we don't know, could consequently be impacted by a life-altering situation. So when I'm talking about this financial defense, I'm not talking about only for you. I'm not only talking about your aging parents. I'm also talking about getting your children involved, whether they're young children or whether they're adult children, whatever that looks like. The things we're dealing with in today's society, There's no age barrier, no age limit, no cultural barrier, cultural limit. It's impacting all of us. So when I find something that I know is going to be beneficial, not only for me, I'm trying to pull those around me, those people that I love, I'm trying to get them involved. Now, I know, guys, not everything is going to be for everybody. There's some things that I'm talking about. It may not be for you. You may not be in a position right now that you feel like it's necessary for you. Maybe you have some alternatives to what I'm talking about, and that's fine, because there's no one size fit all formula. But as you are putting together your financial makeover plan, it is important that you consider the possibilities of the unexpected. And if living benefit works for you, good. If it don't, you're only looking at what you believe you need for you in this moment, what works for you. I'm just putting the information out there, okay? Also, disability insurance. For us working people who go to work every day and we work hard for our money, one physical ailment, one emotional breakdown, one mental health lapse, where does that leave us? It impacts our ability to function, our activities of daily living. Do we have disability insurance in place? And I'm not just talking about with the job, because I know that our job, some of us, we have a job that has all kinds of good benefits. But have you read the fine print on some of those benefits? And what happens in the event that you got hurt and you lost your job? Because before you could make claim on that benefit or the insurance from your job, that you realize that as a result of everything that's going on, now you no longer have that job and you don't have anything else set in place. So we want to look at things even outside our job, or we want to look at the policies that we believe we already have in place and start looking at the fine print, start making trips to the HR and asking questions. Is this something that we're going to be able to carry with us down the line? In the event that we're no longer work here, is it going to be affordable enough for me to carry over somewhere else? If I have to reduce my hours to part-time, what does that look like? Your health insurance. Health insurance is another. Do we have good quality health insurance? Do we have supplemental insurance to go along with that health insurance? Because we know in today's time, now I don't get sick and go to the doctor and all that very much. But for every time I have, I've received a bill in the mail. So what about those supplemental things? Do we have it in place? And what does it cover? What does it look like? So one of the financial defenses that we can put in place is to go and grab those policies and look at it and have a talk with somebody to make sure that we're covered. And to ask the questions that if the unexpected comes, what kind of place is it going to leave me in financially? Another financial defense you can have is to set up some type of annuity or investment plan, some form of annuity or investment plan. Now, this is something that we're putting away, that we're sewing away, that we're planning in places that it can generate interest and grow as we're putting it in. It's not something that we're going to get back overnight. So this is something that we're looking into long-term, looking down the line for retirement years and things like that for us that haven't reached retirement yet. And truth be told, there are people 30, 40, 50 years old. You've worked hard all your life. You don't have a retirement plan. You're working on a job to where you may or may not have retirement benefits. And if something happens to where you live another 10, 15 years, and you may be hurt, physically unable, physically disabled, physically disfigured, and you're still trying to go to a job, suffering through the day because you don't have a retirement plan. You don't have anything to support you financially. You don't want to be a burden on your kids. You don't want to be a burden on your family. So having that plan in place, having something in place as a defense, a Roth IRA, an annuity, a mutual fund, something like that, you can start putting together now, that you can start investing in now, that will pay off for you later down the line in the event that you need it. And so what if you don't need it? What if 10, 15 years from now, and you reach the age of retirement and you're in good health and all that, and you still doing good and you desire to work and you don't need it? That's something you can leave for your children, for your seed, for a charity or something that means something to you. That's something that you can leave to somebody else if you don't want to cash it in for yourself. So it's something that we look at, financial defense. These are just some things that we can put in place, things that we can do. And what about you guys that say, oh, I'm already financially strapped. I'm already financially strapped. I don't have any more finances. I can't scratch anymore. Well, we already talked about in episodes 1 and 2 about finding that money and why getting this education is so important. We talked about that. So when we get further in the other lessons, we're going to help you find some money somewhere. We're going to help you generate additional streams of income from somewhere. We're going to put this piece of our puzzle in finances together. We're going to do that together. I'm not telling you anything that I haven't already tried to do for myself or that I haven't already implemented for me, not only for me, but my family as well. Also, guys, if you need or if you desire a little extra education, if you need that little extra support, you can get my books, Recreating a Better Me, and also Time to Talk. Both of those books have a financial education component to help you begin to map out your financial plan and help you begin to create your financial makeover. Also, Time to Talk, it has a component in there that helps you understand business. It gives you some ideas for some businesses that you can create right now in the comfort of your home with little to no overhead that help you bring in additional streams of income into your household. Hey, we have no excuse. There's no excuse. Financial defense, that's what it's all about. Another financial defense that we can have is using the talent that we have to generate multiple streams of income into our households. That book I was telling you about, those books I was telling you about, that's a financial defense because those books are available. And when somebody purchases those books, that's an income, that's revenue coming into my household. And I do nothing extra. I do nothing more. It's a seed that's planted. And as a result of that, I reap from it. And if you have a book inside of you and you've always wanted to write one and you just don't know where to start, I have a course for that. I've helped people write their books. Their books are written and published and available, and it just generates additional streams of income for their households. And so if you're one of those, connect with me on my Linktree. That's Linktree/Anntricia Bray Smith. And you can find my instructional courses there. Okay? So financial defense, that's all I want you thinking about for the next week is financial defense. What can you put together? What can you set in place? So in the event that the unexpected knocks on your door, you have something set in place so that you will not be exhausted or bankrupt financially. So think about it. Think about all the things that could occur. Look at what's happening to your neighbors. Look at the things that are happening on social media. Put yourself there. What if that happened to me? What can I set in place to protect me? That's the mindset we're going to be on over the next week, thinking defensively, financially, okay? I appreciate you joining me. Until next time, I am Anntricia Bray Smith, your professional mentor and speaker.